Well, good morning. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith, and how are you all today? When I first started thinking about making this video, and it was in response to a whole lot of comments that I got on the bugging out videos and the it's going to be horrible videos, I thought about calling it Stupid Kills. We'll see if I stay with that title or not. It'll depend on where I find myself going with this. But you all are probably familiar with the saying that stupid hurts and it should, right? Yeah. Another one of my favorite sayings, it's a meme out there somewhere, is that when you're dead, you don't know you're dead. The pain is felt by others. The same is true when you're stupid. And that's true. So you all are not stupid. Well, most of you all are not stupid. I have to admit, a few stupid ones got into the last few, and I was able to identify them by their comments. And here's where I want to welcome all of the new subscribers, both on YouTube and on Patreon. You have come to, and I hope you've joined, please subscribe. You have joined probably the smartest group on YouTube, in YouTube land. And I'm not saying that because it's about me. I'm saying it is because it's about our commenters. I claim to have the smartest commenters in YouTube land, and it's true. And every time I go to, well, I'll just leave it at that. I got the smartest ones here, and I tell you what, it's several clicks above that when you get over to Patreon. But however, because anybody can come on here, sometimes others do, and it's usually, and I will get just comments that it's really they're really head slappers. I mean, you think, where in the world are these people coming from? And usually the comments are from people, who I've never heard it from before, so I know that they've just been drawn in by the title of, and they haven't come to our channel before. They don't know anything about me. They don't know anything about the, whatever, and they will leave some of the stupidest comments. Now, if you're just new to us, don't worry about that. Don't let that set you off. I'm not a mean guy. I'm a guy who wants to help. I wrote a bunch of books on preparedness and survival and all this kind of stuff, and the purpose of this channel is to pass on that information. So if you're smart, if you're neither stupid nor contrarian, just wanting to start an argument, you've found the right place. Now, let me explain what I mean about stupid. I don't mean ignorant. Ignorant simply means, and this, well, I'm going to lead up bugging out here. Ignorant simply means you don't have the information. We are all ignorant in different areas, and we are ignorant until we learn, right? So ignorance, that's nothing. That's not what I'm talking about. Stupidity is when you are bound and determined to hold on to your ignorance, and you're even proud of it. And somehow, I don't know what it is, but some people are just proud of their ignorance. However, to counteract the stupidity, I am going to answer those questions. And let me tell you what the type of the questions were. Bug out. Where are we going to bug out to? Okay. Well, I kind of covered that, but I'm going to cover it more, okay? So that's a stupid comment. Well, it's just going to be as bad wherever you go. Okay, that's a stupid comment. How do you know that? Okay, why would you go somewhere that's going to be just as bad? I mean, if you have put some planning into this. Yeah, well, when you go to your bug out location, there's going to be people waiting there for you to kill you and take your stuff. What a stupid comment. Okay, how do you know that? I mean, if you've put some thought into this, and I'm going to get to some comments here from our own people that are going to help to illustrate this. What was another one? It was just they were all kind of the same. bug out. Where are you going to? Implied in that, whether these people realize it or not, is that they are not willing to do whatever it takes to try to survive. So why are you on a preparedness channel? My gosh, And it essentially in that, if I were to answer that, well, where would you go? It's just going to be as bad. Our question back to that person would, of course, be, so your solution is to stay where you are and be killed or starve to death. That's your solution. Okay, so those people, they don't follow their non-argument to its logical conclusion. But let me address this, because I think that those are stupid questions, but we have some people with good questions. So I'm going to refer here to, let's see. Well, first off, we had one of our patrons, and I won't name him because when I make a video that is also going to be on YouTube, I don't name the person, the patron who asked the question. But he is a Stonemont level, which is the upper level of our people over on the Patreon channel. If you're not with us, the link is down below. You can join us. He said, could you make a video on what we bug out to? I'm guessing 95% of your viewers don't have access to a place to go that will be safe. I'm currently one of those, but will be looking and would love to hear your suggestions. Well, he said something very important there. Well, he said a couple things very important. Where to go, but he says 95%, I don't know, 95%, maybe don't have access to a place. I wonder if that's true. Don't have access or haven't thought about it. And here's why I say start thinking about it, okay? A place to go that will be safe. Okay, safety is comparative. There is no place in the world that's absolutely safe. The rural areas are dangerous, just like the urban areas are. You will be safe to the extent that you make yourself be safe, and that comes in, to being able to defend yourself. Simple as that, and that comes from organization and having a group. He says he's currently one of those, but will be looking. That's the most important part. He will be looking. He now is one of those that doesn't have a safe place to go, or doesn't think he has access to a place to go, but he's looking. That's the thing. See, he's taking action. He is looking, and in that, the fact that he's looking shows me that he understands it can be done, and it can be done. That's what I want to get across here. Okay, now the next is, let's see. Let me go over to, we had a couple of questions, one on the YouTube channel and one on the, where's my cursor? There it is. On the Patreon. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the one from YouTube. It's from Philip Ballard. I said his name because he is a YouTube person, so it's public. He says, and this was on Bugging Out Part 2. If you haven't watched those, go back and watch them. Great information, sir. In my opinion, bugging out is the most challenging thing to consider if you're being honest with yourself. You're exactly right. Bugging out is last resort stuff. Now, what I said in mine, it's if you have planned properly, and I said get going right away. What I mean last resort is not like when you're about to be overrun, okay? It's when you have determined, as a result of the information and your foreknowledge and your planning, that where you are or remaining where you are is more dangerous than moving to where your next position could be, okay? Okay, so he's exactly right. If it looks like you can stay where you are, that's where you want to be, and that's why I say having an established situation in the exurbs is the best place to be. Hopefully you'll never have to move from that. People who live in the suburbs, you will have to. If a grid down situation comes, you're simply going to have to in order to survive. If you want a detailed explanation on that, read my books. I mean, I go into it in detail. I think one of the things that frustrates me is that I've written 6 books on this stuff. And it took me 6 books to explain everything, and then somebody will come along and say, "Oh yeah, have you thought about? Don't you realize?" And you can't. Very often, Kelly will ask me a question, and she'll say, "Can you give me the short answer?" And the answer is often there is no short answer. Okay. And there's also another, and I don't mean this for Kelly or anybody else, but there's also the saying that the biggest fool can ask questions, the wisest man cannot answer. Okay, and that doesn't mean that people who ask these questions are fools, nor that I am the wisest man. It simply means that it takes understanding on the questioner's part to understand the answer given from someone who has studied it a long time. And so that simply sometimes requires a very long and detailed answer. And maybe I should hold these up now. And the answers that I can give in a 30-minute video are nothing compared to what I've already given in 6 books. So that's kind of that. So I'm going to go on with Philip here. He says, if you're being honest with yourself, it's bugging out is the most challenging thing to consider. Yeah, you're exactly right. Especially since basically your life as you know it is about to change entirely and possibly indefinitely. Exactly right, Phil. If a person doesn't have a bug-out cabin or any friends that do, what are your thoughts on bugging out to the national forest or public land? Thanks. Okay, I think that's a great question. Hopefully I'm going to get around to that, national forest and public land. I think it's if you don't have a place to go, I think that national forests and public lands are excellent places to go. National forests, state parks, national parks, whatever. I mean, you own it. So somebody asked me a long time ago about, well, what are the ethical and moral implications of going to a national park? And I think, well, you own it. You've paid your taxes. Who do you think owns that place? You do. The government acts like it does, but, if it all comes down, it's yours. You get out there. And the problems, I may need to make a whole nother video on this because it's a fascinating question. And there's a lot that would go into it. But yes, do I think that that's a viable option? Yes, I do. If I get into more of that on this one, we'll see. If I don't, I do want to get back and talk about that. But yeah, the short answer is I think that's a great idea. It's going to take a lot of planning, and it's going to take a lot of, it's going to be very challenging, but that doesn't mean it can't be done, okay? I mean, really, if you're going to a national forest, national park, a state park, county park, I don't care, you're going to have more than the pioneers had. Okay, look at it that way. And that's for those people who say, you can't do it, which of course means they can't do it because they won't do it. Yeah, you're going to have a lot more than the pioneers had. But they had all the knowledge, Well, why don't you get the knowledge then? Learn. Okay, let's go to, that was Phillips. Now we're going to go back to Patreon. And this, guys, is why if you're not with us on Patreon, you should be. I'll simply say his first name. Again, when it comes from someone who's on Patreon, I don't give their full identifiers. This comes from Mark. Now listen to this. Okay, listen to this. I live in Serbia, a town of about 4,000 souls. Most of the residents here either commute an hour to Dallas or 40 minutes to the suburbs north of here. We have friends that have a 45-acre version of Stonemont several miles north of us. If you all don't know what Stonemont is, it is the community that is built in my books from one prepared family. One prepared family. It's a whole story of how one family who was prepared, and I mean prepared, were able to survive well, live a good life, and help many other people who came together in a community that grew to the point where it was able to sustain and defend itself. Did I cover all those things? Because the stupid questions will come in. Oh yeah, you'll be overrun by marauders. Get out of your basement. Stop reading those kinds of trash books or watching those kinds of trash videos and start thinking about actually preparing. Use your brain as something other than a sponge with which you can be frightened. Start doing something positive with your life. Okay, we'll get back to it. He says, so we have friends with a 45-acre version of Stonemont, several miles north of us. And that's also for people to say, nobody could ever do what's in your books. I know people who have. So for the person who says nobody ever could, that simply means they can't. And we are using the reversion in principle as sort of a primer in case things go bad. That's right. How about that? They have a version of Stonemont, and they're using these books as a primer. Primer, some people will say, on how, in case things go bad. We are pre-positioning supplies. Listen up, people who think it can't be done. We are pre-positioning supplies at the ranch, and we're in the process of developing security plans of all sorts: defense, observation, early warning, etc. In meetings we've had, a big concern we have is government emergency plans that exist in all levels of government, i.e., the local cops will want to commandeer working vehicles. Other government officials will want to confiscate and redistribute our supplies to the needy, etc. Right in here, it tells you how they handle the National Guard captain who came by to requisition their stores for redistribution to other people. And I will simply say that I believe the line in there is, he never heard the shot that killed him. Good things to plan for. Here is an excellent, his final sentence is excellent. And I've said this a little bit before. Our plan on how to deal with this potential issue is to very carefully recruit some area law enforcement and maybe some in area government. Thoughts? I think you're thinking exactly right. You are thinking exactly right. Now, recruit, one of the reasons, and I've put this, I believe that I've put this in some of my past videos on Patreon about lessons from the mafia. One of the reasons that they were successful is because they befriended or made friends with, or in some cases you would say corrupted, law enforcement and judges and politicians and things like that. Okay. Now I know that when I make videos about the mafia, I'll get some people to say, well, that's horrible and that's illegal and that's immoral and all that. Well, you see, the old mafia, they saw the government as being corrupt. Does that ring a bell? And when they are dealing with corruption, in order to to ensure the safety and the well-being of their families. They wanted control over over that corrupt system. Let me put it that way. Okay, because not everybody in those systems were corrupt. They wanted to be able to get information from it, and they wanted to be able to exert some influence into it. So as a result, what they did is they befriended law enforcement. You never saw, I tell you what, and those of you who have been with me on Patreon, you know that I have a very deep understanding of this, a personal understanding of what I'm talking about. You never saw a mob guy get mad at a cop. You never saw them make enemies or being rude or anything. They were the friendliest people in the world. Why? Because they wanted to make friends. They wanted to inoculate themselves against persecution by the authorities. And then they did so in hopes that if something was coming down, first off, it would, excuse me, half a second. If someone was coming down, hopefully one of these people that they had befriended in law enforcement or the courts or the judges or lawyers or, city councilmen would give them a heads up. And if they really became friends with them, that would happen. And I mean, okay, this is a little bit different. If they bought them, and I'm going to be talking about probably on Patreon about buying yourself a politician or two. If they were in a position that the authorities felt some affinity towards them, some loyalty towards them, then they would be in a good position, and those people would work on their behalf rather than against them. Okay, this is classic. I mean, it goes back forever. If you think that there is an organization or a group that could be dangerous to you, there are people in that group, it's the organization that may be against you. It's not necessarily all the people. So don't treat them always as an enemy. This is one of the problems with so many people and well, I won't get into that. But there are people, befriend them. Yes, befriend them. Now, recruit them? I don't know. There are going to be some people out there who are recruitable in that they feel the same way you do about things. If you just simply want to, if a friendship develops, that's good. It's one of the best things you can do. Yeah, so that's one of the best things you can do. To put a cherry on all this, and I think I'm going to wait and do one about bugging out to national parks and things like that, and another one because there's a lot to talk about there. All of these things that we talk about can be done. What does it take? It takes an understanding, an acceptance of how bad things can be. When I talked about it will be horrible, it will be horrible beyond the ability of the average person to even think about, let alone understand. And you have to accept that. If you don't accept it, you're not going to be ready. Because you're going to be ended up, arguing ad nauseum. But what? But why? But what? But okay, and that's the recipe for death. So you have to understand. You have to accept that, and then you have to plan for it. And planning for it takes time, it takes effort, and it takes money. But as we saw with our patron, they are doing it. Whether you can do it depends entirely on you. Entirely on you. There will be some that say, well, I don't know anybody. Well, that's your fault. There will be some people, well, I don't like people. Well, that's your fault. I don't trust people. Some people can't be trusted. Many can. If you can't discriminate, that's your problem. These are things you have to solve. Okay. Why do some people know a lot of people and others don't? Because you get out there and you meet them and you talk to them and you're willing to participate in society. A hermit's not going to make it. You know, people are social animals. If you are bound and determined not to participate in society, well, good luck. You are going to only live as long as you can sustain yourself, because community is the key, as I write about it in my books. So, is bugging out your first option? It's definitely not. It's your final option. But waiting until you're overrun is stupidity. And thinking that there's no way I can improve my position. Well, that's stupidity with a second helping of laziness. So, if I were meaner than I am, I would say those people deserve to die. But I'm not mean, so I won't say that. I would say those people hopefully will learn. Okay? The point of this is stupid hurts and stupid kills. Because if you're bound and determined to remain stupid, you're going to die. But smarts and responsibility, and the kind of responsibility that goes into real preparedness, because I say time and time again, preparedness is the ultimate responsibility. And real preparedness is always about having another option. Okay? Having other options. What do I do next? What do I do if? So, those are the things. Stupid kills, smart lives. Think about that. Those of you who who understand this, please put in the comments your story, your thoughts, to help other people who come across this video, so that they can see. There's a lot of people out there that just need help, okay? And we want to help them. So put in the comments your experience, your thoughts, that support this. And for the people who say, I don't know what to do next, I don't know what to do, realize there is always something you can do. What you can do is limited only by what you're willing to do. There's another old saying that I love, and that is success usually comes from a strong will, and failure from a strong won't. And the won't comes from it usually, when somebody says I can't, it means they won't. They're not willing to put into whatever it is, whether it's studying for the test, preparing for a job, or preparing for the end of the world. It's simply that they won't put the effort into it. So, stupid kills, but smart helps you live. And remember, if you want the complete plan, it's in my books. You can get these, The Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven, the Blessings of Freedom, and the latest one that just came out, Hostages to Fortune, the complete plan in a great story of how to prepare for, how to survive, and how to rebuild after a complete collapse of the world. And just as they are using this as a guide, many others have told me too, we're using your books as a guide to develop our communities, our groups and communities. And that just makes me feel great. So wherever you are on your preparedness path, if you haven't read these, you should. I hope you will. You can get them either through Amazon. The link is down below. You can get them Amazon in paperback or Kindle, or you can get them straight from me through our website, stonemont.us. That link is also down below, and there's a place when you order them, if you want me to autograph them or put a little message in there to either you or your Uncle Bob or whoever, just there's a place for you to put that in there. Hey, Steve, would you make this out to so-and-so? It's, happy birthday for whatever it is. You can do it. And like I say, that's stonemont.us, not .com. It's STONEMONT.us. Okay. You all have a great day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.